Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman in for the next hour, leading you up to the Vince Show. And we've got a big show today, including your host purchasing $10 worth of Powerball tickets because I fell into the trap, the $1.3 billion trap. Then I did a little research and found out if you actually win, you take home $371 million. You take the cash buyout, it splits it in half. You pay your taxes, it cuts it again. I'll take the 371. I'm good. I'm in on that. We'll have some fun with that later in the show. Also, Jeff Colyer will be with us. He's running for governor in Kansas in about 30 minutes. The former governor, Dr. Jeff Colyer, will be here on a story that I'm going to, I'll just tease it right now. He has called for an investigation and firing of a far-left extremist Kansas State University civil rights administrator with pro-terrorism, anti-Semitic, and Marxist ties. This is true. You won't believe the person Kansas State hired. We thought this was the safe place for conservative kids to go to school. Not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso would say. Dr. Jeff Colyer will be here, the governor, at 10:30 to explain why he's calling for the termination of this person who is clearly pro-Hamas and wants to wipe out the Jews. Nice, K-State. You're on it. Good work. We'll get into that coming up in about 30 minutes. And redistricting in Kansas, which Governor Colyer wants to do as well. Also, a chilling assassination threat against Marsha Blackburn has become even more disturbing as a liberal judge, magistrate judge, has granted pretrial release to this sicko. And we'll get into that later in the show. We will start today with something that just happened this morning. And this is a lawsuit and a fight that is going to be really interesting for all of us to watch to see what happens with your favorite news channel. Newsmax is the up-and-comer on your cable or your satellite or your Hulu or wherever you stream or watch TV or get your news. Newsmax is growing pretty quickly. Fox News is doing everything it possibly can to stop Newsmax from gaining any traction with Fox News' millions and millions of viewers. This morning, Newsmax has announced it has filed a major federal antitrust lawsuit against the Fox Corporation and Fox News Network in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. They are accusing Fox News of engaging in an extensive and unlawful campaign to block competition in the marketplace for right-leaning pay television news, including Newsmax. They seek damages under Sections 1 and 2 of the Sherman Act, Florida acts, all kinds of different laws. The complaint alleges Fox News has abused its dominance in the right-leaning pay TV news market for years by coercing distributors into unfair carriage agreements designed to exclude or marginalize competitors like Newsmax. Fox News will say, we have all the ratings, and if you don't carry Fox Sports 2, for example, which nobody watches ever unless a sporting game gets kicked over there or something, some people might watch that, but they leverage all this stuff and keep competitors out. One of the things that Newsmax alleges is that Fox Corporation hired private investigators targeting Newsmax executives and talent to find dirt on them, and that they routinely pressure guests on Fox News and tell them if they go on Newsmax, they may not be invited back onto Fox News. This is going to be interesting. I don't know. I'm just reporting the Newsmax side of the thing. Fox will have a full-throated defense, I feel sure, but this is so in my wheelhouse because I love following media as much as I love anything else. And I've said to a buddy, I had a buddy, Tony, we've talked about this for years. I'm like, we sat here and we've watched CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, all these, the Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Wall Street Journal is not the worst. New York Times, Washington Post, others. We've watched all this liberal media in America. I said, how is Fox News just unchallenged? And why doesn't, I'll ask it in the Kansas City marketplace, why doesn't one of the local news stations just say, we're going all in, we're going all MAGA with our news coverage in Kansas City and opinion programming and do it all and kill it in the ratings? You'd beat the other channels in this town. You'd kill it. You'd be the only one. You'd crush it. So how has Fox News been doing this with no competition? Newsmax comes along. It was kind of a streaming thing. Then it was on channel 9,382 or something for a while. I still can't tell you exactly what channel it is on my system, but I can find it when I need to. They're not as polished. It's not as easy to watch. It's not as well produced, but they're up and coming, and they're gaining viewers. And it has been forever since Fox News has had any challenge whatsoever. I also asked, why wouldn't somebody do late night television or comedy that's not liberal? Because it's been liberal now for almost 15 years. And then Fox started doing Gutfeld at 9, which I don't consider late night. That's prime time here. So that's not really a late night show. Comparing that to something that's on at 10:30 is not a fair example of ratings, because so many people go to bed between 9 and 10:30 and they're not awake to watch Colbert or whatever. But I don't understand why one of those shows, they're all up against each other, doesn't. Maybe CBS is the one that's going to do it. With Colbert out and new owners in, maybe they're going to find somebody that isn't so dyed-in-the-wool leftist, and they'll do something different in that spot and have a chance to win. So I think competition is key in America. I love the fact that Newsmax is out there competing with Fox News and that they're gaining some traction. It will make Fox News better. And we all have a lot of complaint about Fox News over the last decade or two, things that they have done. There's also a ginormous threat that when Rupert Murdoch dies, the CEO of News Corp, Fox Corporation, that when he dies, one of his liberal sons will gain control of this network and flip it entirely. It's sitting there and it's possible. So I'm going to be watching this one. A very interesting story is breaking today. Newsmax with a very serious lawsuit against Fox News. A story that caught my eye yesterday that nobody really is talking about is some comments by Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, who says, we're done with property taxes. And to prove it, instead of me just being the governor and saying we're not going to collect property taxes, we've got all these problems in Jackson County. Now, Johnson County had a crap show last week of a commission meeting where everybody showed up and got their property taxes raised 6%. Everybody's dealing with this. This is not a uniquely Jackson County thing. Your property taxes have gone up no matter where you are. They've gone up because the value of your home has gone up. And that's called an unrealized gain. Your home is worth more, but you don't have any more money because of it. You only have more money because of it when you sell your home. It's like owning a stock that does well. You don't get taxed on your stock going up until you sell it. That makes sense. Ron DeSantis says this is the worst tax in America. People buy a house when they're 50 years ago for $100,000 and it's worth $700,000 today, and now they're retired and living on a fixed income, and they don't have enough money to pay the property taxes to stay in their house. If you own your house free and clear, that's it. You're done. You've got no obligation to anyone. It's your house. He said you should never have to pay rent to the government for owning your home. And he's right, of course. And when we discuss taxes, or at least when I think about taxes, I think of them conceptually. I don't know I can't define for you exactly what a mill levy is. I don't care about 3/8 of a cent and how much that, I don't like getting into the weeds on that stuff. Conceptually, I understand that we need taxes. I don't like them, but we need them. And I think they should almost always be user-type taxes. If you want to drive, you pay a fee for a driver's license or the right to drive or whatever, or you can not drive. If you want to go shopping and buy a new suit, you can pay a sales tax with your new suit. You make the decision on when to get the new flat screen TV and pay your 10% in sales tax. But owning a home and watching it go up in value and paying more tax on that because theoretically it's worth more when this housing market goes crazy, the prices could come down. It's possible we're going to get just an influx of people going out in the marketplace or selling their homes or cashing out saying, I made mine, I'm out of here. DeSantis is onto something. He's going to put it on the ballot. And this is what I love most about what DeSantis is doing. He's doing what Republicans should do everywhere. Make it really simple for a Democrat to ask themselves, why am I not a Republican? And this is one of those issues. If they put this on the ballot in Florida, and DeSantis says he is, it's going to be a simple question. Should the state of Florida eliminate property taxes for homeowners? That's it. Yes or no? What Democrat that owns a home is going to vote no? The answer is none. And they're going to say, well, these other people have some pretty good ideas here. What I've been told my whole life that I have an obligation and I'm supposed to pay these taxes and I've got this. But now I may have to sell my house I'm 65 years old. I'm on a fixed income. My house is paid off. And now all of a sudden, boom, my property taxes are so expensive, I'm thinking about renting. And along comes DeSantis and puts it on the ballot. What about if they get rid of your property taxes? Yes, please. Thank you. I'll be a Republican for a day. This is how you win the battle for voters, folks. It's not name calling. It's not Epstein files. It's not all these other things that we get so mixed up in. It's simple. It's no tax on tips. It's finding people and saying, look, this shouldn't be happening. Somebody pays you a cash tip for a job well done. The government doesn't deserve any part of that. They don't. And if your house goes up in value, good for you. You made a great decision on where to live, the house to buy, and the fact that you've taken care of it and you live in a good neighborhood where the property values are going up. You should be rewarded for that in retirement, not penalized for it. This stuff's archaic and stupid. I personally believe the single dumbest tax ever invented is the income tax. Oh, you want to work and make money? Oh, you're going to pay a price for that. We're going to punish you for working. Don't you go off working now. We need you to stay in the system and not work. You're going to take a job? Oh, we're coming to get you. Ooh, you're going to work really hard and make a lot. We're going to get even more. Who the hell came up with that? We went 150 years in this country without an income tax. I don't know what property taxes were back in the day, but we're overtaxed. And there's government fraud and waste everywhere. And it really does come from one party. Yes, Republicans find ways to spend too much money and get into some trouble here and there, but this is insanity. This becomes the easiest thing in the world. I have relatives live in Florida. They're Democrats. They're not wild left liberals, but they're Democrats. They're going to love this. They're going to vote with DeSantis. When was the last time you voted with a Democrat? Think about that. They don't ever on the left offer something up that people on the right would go, oh, okay, maybe that's a pretty good idea. This one, DeSantis will get all the votes. There's not going to be a Democrat homeowner in Florida that's getting taxed out the yin-yang right now that isn't going to go along with him on this. They are. And they might just start to think, you know what, maybe my party's left me. There's a couple things over there about them I don't like, but you know what, they're pretty good for me. And ultimately, we can say whatever. You can have this big conceptual idea about voting. Ultimately, when you go in to vote, you're one person. You should be voting for yourself. It's the one time in your life to be as selfish as you can possibly be. You need to vote for what's best for you or your family or your children or whoever you're voting for. But it's personal to you. And we got to get back to the days of this involves people that own homes and have nuclear families and raise children and go to church and do all these traditional American things that have made this country great. Ron DeSantis is on something. Trump wants to do this. I have no idea how Trump's going to federalize this unless it's a tax break. That's the only thing I can think of. Your first $10,000 in property taxes, you get a tax break on. Whatever your tax rate is, you get that refunded. Or as a credit. I could see something like that. But that's about the only thing I could think the federal government could possibly do. But in Jackson County, they're not dropping property taxes. In Johnson County, no, they just raised them again. Where you live, I'm pretty sure your taxes are going up. What if the state came in and said you can't do it? There are no property taxes in our state. Go Ron DeSantis, I'm on your side. 913-408-7957, the number to call. That's 408-7957. Come on, give me a shout. Let's talk about it next, right here on KCMO Talk Radio.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio. 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Governor Jeff Colyer will be with us in 10 minutes. He is calling for the termination of a far-left extremist at Kansas State University, a civil rights administrator that was way too far left and anti-Jew for Cornell. You can't make this up. This is a good one. We'll get into that with the governor coming up in just a little bit. First, we go to the phones, and we start with Stephen in Kansas City today on KCMO. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Hey, Kev. How's it going?
I'm well.
Almost ready for Chiefs season again. I'm getting excited for that.
Yes, sir.
What I was going to answer your question. I think their primetime lineup is not very good, but I think News Nation has been posting a lot of gains. I would get rid of most of their nighttime hosts, but they're doing all right. They're doing all right if they were a kind of alternative. I don't get Newsmax or the other channels. We don't get anything but kind of the broadest of the broad newscast.
Right. Now, News Nation is playing the middle. They're basically playing the middle. Yeah, which is great.
And they're posting gains with a terrible evening lineup. Sort of retreads Elizabeth Vargas and Ashley Banfield and Cuomo and just retreads from other networks.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. There are moments on that Cuomo show when he has Stephen A. Smith and Bill O'Reilly on that's some of the best television you'll ever see.
Right, and the local news is just a race to the bottom for who could be the wokest. I think they must be advertised. The advertisers don't want any controversy. But this is a big issue.
That's funny because what you said is true, but it shouldn't be that way. Because being woke and being fed some of the things we're fed should be controversial. It's the minority opinion. It by definition should be controversial.
I'm scared, Kevin. I looked at this Newsweek poll, this Emerson poll in Newsweek, and Gavin Newsom is tied with J.D. Vance.
Oh, come on.
At 44%. He's gaining with these kids and the TikTok low information voters. And I thought we had a handle on this. I thought we had a handle on these TikTok.
We have no idea what's going to happen in 28. I'm not wasting any time on 28. We have no idea what's going to happen. Anything could happen over the next 3 years.
That's true, but that is absolutely shocking that the low information voter could be so easily swayed by such a transparent, hoax like.
Maybe they're just answering, Newsom, and maybe they're just answering a poll saying they're going with the Democrat or Newsom or something.
Put that in your memory bank.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Stephen.
All right, take care.
You're awesome, buddy. Appreciate his enthusiasm every single time he calls. The other story I talked about at the start of the show that just really has me bothered is a story out of, it's from Tennessee. This, according to the Tennessee Star, Penelope Convertino, reportedly born a male, her name is Penelope, left death threats on a voicemail machine against Senator Marsha Blackburn on May 30th. Here's what the words were on the voicemail. Quote, "My name is Mother Blank. I'm going to kill Marsha Blackburn. I'm going to shoot her with a gun. I'm going to blow up her head on national TV. She will literally have brains splattered behind her because she will not be a person. She will be a dead, blanking body." That was the voicemail that was left. They picked Penelope Convertino, reportedly born a male, up and have gone through the system. And now U.S. Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes, a federal liberal appointee, has granted pretrial release to Penelope. This person is loose. Accused of threatening to assassinate Senator Marsha Blackburn, who's also going to run for governor now in Tennessee. This is the same magistrate judge, Barbara Holmes, that ordered the release of Kilmar Garcia. We have an epidemic of transgender shooters in this country. We have a reportedly trans female that has threatened to blow the head off Marsha Blackburn live on TV, which is 10 years in prison if and when convicted, and this judge is letting this person walk free in the interim. It's just shocking, some of the stupid things that we do. Governor Jeff Colyer will join us next. An unbelievable story out of the state of Kansas at Kansas State University. Jeff Colyer is calling for the termination of an employee from the Civil Rights Office and Title IX that was too liberal for Cornell. You got to hear this next on KCMO.
From the nation's heartland, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
We are honored to have in studio Governor Jeff Colyer, or Dr. Jeff Colyer, however you want to say it, Governor Jeff Colyer, who is running for governor again in Kansas and is taking the lead on a lot of issues. He was Trump's campaign guy for 2024 in the state of Kansas, Kansas chair, and he's been governor. And he has spotted a story at Kansas State, or a thing taking place within the Civil Rights Department, the Office of Civil Rights in Title IX, that is just beyond belief. There's a far-left extremist named Darren Borders that works at Kansas State with ties to a Marxist group that has declared no sympathy for dead Jews. This is unbelievable. Governor Colyer has put a statement out, and he joins us now. Governor, how are you this morning?
It's always great to be with you, Kevin. It's great to see you.
Have you been in surgery this morning?
I had a little bit of surgery today. I still do a little bit of my trauma work. I'm just on call for a couple of the hospitals here to cover trauma for folks. And then I do my political work and some other things as well.
I texted you early knowing you'd be up saying, hey, can you come on in the 10 o'clock hour? I didn't think you'd be able to make it in person, but you did, and you're in your scrubs. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a good look. I need that for Halloween or something.
I
think
I'll get you a pair. I'll get you a pair.
I get my own scrubs. What the hell's going on at Kansas State? How did this dude get hired, and how is he still there?
Well, that's exactly my question is, how does this happen at a state school? So here's the lay of the land is this is a person who was at Cornell, who is an avowed Marxist, who made all sorts of inflammatory statements, and it is reported in the newspapers that they were even suspended because of their anti-Semitic activities on campus. So this is, when Jewish kids have been, are being assaulted and targeted. Okay, there's supposed to be an office where you can complain. So guess what? He moves to Kansas. So this is not a Kansan. He, certainly doesn't have Kansas values, there, and ends up being in the Office of Civil Rights, Title IX, to protect vulnerable people. And this is a job where they actually have their title is, they're an inspector and an investigator for that. And the other members of the office, all their backgrounds are in criminal justice and social work and, working with people in this. Not this guy. Okay, this is a guy, with a degree in French and linguistics and stuff like that, and is working on, Marxist ideology as his PhD. But the real thing, though, is, we have ordinary Kansas students that need to go to school, and when they have a problem, particularly a Title IX problem, they need to have somebody who will listen to them, care for them, share their values, and be their advocate. How can a Jewish kid do that if something happens?
So if a Jewish student is walking across campus and somebody just verbally assaults them and says something horrible to them and they feel threatened, this would be the office where they'd go, and they could potentially go to this person who's an avowed Jew hater to decide what to do?
Yeah.
I mean, that's immediate termination. Is it not immediate termination?
It's shocking. Okay. I always do things in fairness, and I think the university should investigate the situation. This is what is reported in the news media in Cornell. Cornell had actually suspended this person, according to the news media. But if all of these things, or even one piece of this, is true, how did this person ever get hired in the first place? And they should be immediately terminated. Kansas, we've got great people. There are lots of people that are qualified for this job, that would be great advocates, for students. Let's deal with a Kansan that can help our kids.
It's only my common sense instinct, but my common sense instinct is somebody that hired him wanted him there, that this is exactly what they want in this position, that there's somebody else. Could it be deeper than just this one person?
I don't know. And that's why we need to get to the bottom of it. There needs to be an investigation and understand, what happened. Is it that somebody just didn't do their due diligence, which is a real problem? Or is it somebody that actually wants to push this anti-Semitic narrative and, push, this anti-Jewish
But
theme.
there's Facebook posts. Everybody that gets hired, I would think, at Kansas State University, they do a very simple social media background look, don't they? Isn't that part of the requirement of being somebody who hires at K-State?
If you're a state employee, I think they ought to have a reasonable background check. That hasn't always happened with state employees. And so, we need to make
this is public information. Facebook,
This is-
it's
right.
just public stuff.
Absolutely.
He's just throwing it out there to the
Absolutely.
public. This is not digging into some
Absolutely.
criminal background or trying to find out if he's divorced or, what his sexual orientation is. It's nothing like that. It's things that have been posted.
Yeah. And this is something that needs to be dealt with right now. And, I'm calling on, the university to go inspect what's going on. If what even the barest reports are true, then they should follow their policies. And clearly their policies would not accept somebody like this being the protector of students who feel vulnerable.
It's a 90-10 issue for you or more. 99-1.
Yeah. No, this is just craziness.
It is.
For K-State, every man's a wildcat, right. Except Jews or except, who is it? I mean, what is going on here? It's outrageous.
It's funny. My whole life, I've heard Democrats say that Republicans hate Jews or whatever, that we're the party. I'm like, honest to God, until the last few years, I didn't really know there was a lot of anti-Semitism. I mean, I figured there was in the Middle East, but I didn't know there were. Is this new in our culture, these Democrats, these far left people that hate Jews? I don't remember this before.
They're coming out all over. I don't know where they're coming from.
Why is this okay all of a sudden when for 75 years in this country we've been like, no, these are our friends. They're protected, and we need to help them.
Absolutely. This is America. This is every person is an individual that is respected with dignity and has a future in that. And hate has no place in this. Everybody should be even Steven on this. And this is just one of those crazy things that this DEI stuff just leads to.
Jeff Colyer is running for governor in the state of Kansas. His website is Colyer for Kansas, Colyer.
It's actually Colyer for governor.
Colyer for governor. I'm looking right at it. I'm seeing the state of Kansas. I see it's a beautiful little artwork of the state of Kansas. ColyerForGovernor.com is the website if you want to go check that out. You were Trump's campaign chair in Kansas 2024. And you want to redistrict Kansas. Wasn't this done once before to help District 3 here, and it failed?
Here's what's happened is, the most recent elections, the Republicans won nationally by about 3.5% in the House, okay? And yet we only have a couple of extra seats. And that's because a lot of these districts have all been, particularly in places like California, Massachusetts, has no Republicans in it. Illinois, and if you see their maps, they're crazy. Even after Texas redistricted, those other maps are insane, okay? But here's the thing, is your representative is supposed to represent the values of your state and your community overall, and they're supposed to represent us. And when these maps have been drawn in a way that puts the Dems in the driver's seat, that's craziness on it. So we have to respond. And so I think Mike Kehoe is doing the right thing. And, that's what a governor does. You lead from the front. And I really respect what he's doing in all of this.
So how do you know you don't goof up? Do you have a map yet? Is this thought through? I mean, we got a huge swath of Democrats right here where we live. Johnson County's getting bluer every day. Wyandotte County's always been blue. How do you redraw the thing? You tie this thing in with Great Bend and Goodland, or what do you do? How do you do it?
That's why you have a legislature, and there's a lot of discussion going on in the background about how best to do this. But I want to point out something else, which is, when I represented a swing district in both the state's House and the state Senate, and I would have Kathleen Sebelius get 53% of the vote, and then Dennis Moore would get 52% of the vote, and I'd get 63% of the vote in the exact same precincts there. Those were, what was happening then was messaging and other issues there, and I think with the right candidate and with the right map that is more representative, if Johnson County has a couple of representatives in the U.S. Congress that represents it, then we have more clout. That those problems get addressed better. But the real thing is, we're as a state, and our Republican values as a state, we need to put them forward.
Do we need somebody with giant name recognition in this district to win it? Like
I
a
think that
Dayton Moore or somebody like that?
It helps. It certainly helps, because you got to have name ID to win the district. You have to have a good campaign organization, and you have to have the values and ideas that people really want to hear, and that people want to trust you. And that'll be the right. There's got to be the right candidate. I don't know who that right candidate is.
I know who it is. It's probably 10 years away. It's Harrison Butker. That's who it is. Okay, we can get Harrison Butker to. I don't know if he lives in District 3 or not. I don't know if he lives in Missouri or Kansas. Honestly, don't know. Mark, do you know? He lives in Lee Summit.
Yeah.
Harrison, come on over.
Yeah, come on over. The water's warm.
You can run over there, too, and take Cleaver's seat. That's fine, too. That's good. It works either way. He'd win anything that guy did, he'd win.
Oh, he's
Don't you
great.
think?
He's great. And, just every time I've talked to him, he's just been fantastic.
He is fantastic. Okay, how's the campaign going? You're going to have a busy year and a half here coming up. How do you organize something like that, get it going? It feels to me like you're doing more or making more news or out front more than the other candidates. Do you feel like it's going that way for you?
That's who we are. When you're a governor and, you've done well. When I left the governorship, there were more Kansans working than ever before in the history of the state. I'd fixed the state budget problem. The culture of life was on the rise. I actually fixed the school finance problem. For the first time in 50 years, I was the one who actually signed the bill that funded the first 4 years of Laura Kelly for K-12 education there. We were fixing problems and fixing them well But like President Trump, when you've been out for a while and you get to think about it, when you come back, you don't have to just do one or two lame things, to get your name ID. You don't have to figure out where the bathroom is. You can hit the ground running on all fronts. And that's what Kansas needs. Kansas has been going backwards. We were starting to move. We're starting to get in the right place. But this needs to be a place where our kids want to stay. It's a great place to have a business. We need to increase wages across the state. We need to lower our tax burden. Property taxes, income taxes, all of those. We're just taxed too much. Since I left the governorship, the state budget's up almost 60%. It's craziness, and you didn't notice it. One of the other things that we did as governor and lieutenant governor is we actually eliminated 5,500 unnecessary state jobs, about 20% of the workforce, and nobody noticed. Right. Well, guess what? Laura Kelly's been adding in hundreds. There's actually a couple more thousand people there, and your life isn't any better because of that. We need competent conservatives who win and who can get the job done, that you can trust will actually get the job done.
I hear you. Will Trump endorse anyone in the primary, or does he wait until somebody's running for governor to do that?
That'll be up to the president.
What's your hunch?
My hunch, I don't know what my hunch is.
He'll stay out?
He's really busy right now.
It's a crowded field, too, right?
And it's a crowded field, and things are kind of sorting themselves out. But I know the president is very, believes in Kansas. When I've talked to him, he would go, "I love Kansas." What a bad impression. I'm sorry about that.
He won Kansas. That's why he loves Kansas.
Yeah.
It's great.
But no, he likes the Kansas values. It's important that we
What
win
about
there.
Andy Reid? Will he help you?
Andy's got to go win the Super Bowl for us, and we'll see where he is. He was very supportive. He was very supportive of it. And
did he not? Yeah. Okay, so he was asked questions about doing fundraisers for you.
Yeah, he did
before,
he did a fundraiser
and would do
for
those.
me.
Did that make him uncomfortable? Did he say afterwards, "Hey, I don't know if I'll do this again"?
He was very comfortable.
So will he do it again? You think?
I'm not. I haven't asked him. I haven't spoken to him yet.
Okay, but this could be before next season. I mean, it could be like next summer. He's got some time.
Hey, Andy Reid is an icon and a great friend. Okay, and when I had my cancer diagnosis, Andy called me. I respect him, and I've learned a lot from him about how to win, how to put together a winning team, and all of that. And I respect him for that friendship.
Let's get him on a TV ad for you. That ought to do it. Him and Mahomes standing there. Mahomes lives in Missouri. That didn't work. Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Governor Colyer, I think you'd have something there. I'm not trying to be your campaign manager. I just know Andy can win the thing. It's great. So,
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you very much for this important story. I think my phone, when I did this as my lead on my podcast today, and the second the podcast goes up at like 7:30, people start listening. My phone just blew up.
Oh,
And most of them are like K-State people, but it doesn't matter. I did a couple things last week about KU. We've done some things on MU. When these schools do wacky stuff, people who went to school at these schools or that live here hate this.
Oh, it's
They
insane.
hate it. Like no other issue. They hate it. They're so embarrassed by it. They're like, we don't want to be these New York schools. We don't want to be Harvard. We want to be better than that.
Absolutely. We have dignity for everyone. We love everybody. Every man a wildcat.
Yeah. Good for you. Great story. Governor Jeff Colyer joining us in studio. The website, again, is collierforgovernor.com. That's collierforgovernor.com. Good luck to you, sir, and thank you as always for your time.
It's always great to be with you, my friend.
Jeff Colyer, right here on KCMO Talk Radio.
from Leawood to Liberty. It's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Uncanceled. That was Governor Jeff Colyer. Great stuff on what's happening with their civil rights department at Kansas State, and a fascinating interview. Interesting guy. He's been governor before. He's running. Again, his website is ColyerForGovernor.com. We are brought to you today by our friends at Best Offer KC. A few months ago, they had a lady named Stacy call and say, I need help. I got to sell this house fast. I don't feel safe. She had kids that were living in a dangerous, abusive home. She did not want to list the house. She couldn't have showings. She just needed to get out, get the kids, and go and get the thing sold. The team at Best Offer KC didn't hesitate. They showed up. They listened to her story. They were compassionate. They gave her a really clear path forward, pressure-free, to make this easy for her. A few months later, Stacy called back, crying this time, saying, it's such relief and such gratitude that this has happened. Thank you so much for what you did for us. I'm safe. We've moved away. Life is good. And Best Offer KC was her best friend when it was time to go. That's one of the great stories about Best Offer KC. Now, not everybody's in an abusive situation or something as traumatic as that, but a lot of times folks need to sell a house quickly. When you do, you want to work with people that are compassionate. They don't make fun of your house is ugly or you got this problem or that problem. They don't judge. They come in, they work with you, they get you your offer, and they've never once backed out. Call 338-SOLD if you'd like to contact bestofferkc.com. That's 816-338-SOLD for bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. Mark Van Sickle joining us here on a Wednesday morning. We got some tasty topics. Did you know Heidi Gardner is leaving Saturday Night Live?
I had heard that, yep.
So some of the other characters are terminated. It's my understanding she was not. She left on her own after 8 years. She was the top female cast member. What do you think she's up to?
Well, I think she's going to do more movies and commercials and stuff like that. That just seems like the next step for some of these SNL people. But I don't know. It seems like behind the scenes there's been a little weird tension and friction that I don't watch it often, so I don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes, but it just seems like it's been different the last couple of years.
It got better last year after Trump won. They did a pivot. They started having some comedians on that were conservative and said, okay, we need a broader audience. We're going to keep this show alive. We can't just cater to one thing, which is great. Humor's funny. Make fun of everyone equally. That's great. And this way, Heidi Gardner will get to go back as the host, which will be much more fun than being a cast member.
That's true.
That's quite an honor, I think, to be that. The Chiefs and Chargers are on YouTube Friday night. It'll be Channel 41 locally. Jason Kelsey does commercials for YouTube because they have the Sunday Ticket. Did you know that?
Yes.
He cannot be on the YouTube broadcast. ESPN has said, hell no.
Oh, yeah, he does the Monday Night Football stuff.
They pay him $8 million to sit on that set on ESPN, and they said, nope, you are not going on YouTube for the Chiefs game Friday night. You're not helping them in any way. We have Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner is among the top 10 nicest people I've ever met in my life. Rich Eisen strikes me as a little arrogant.
See, I thought he's pretty nice, too, but I've never met him.
I had him on the show a couple times at Radio Row and things like that. He's fine enough. I think sometimes you get to a level and you're like the one guy that had absolute right to be arrogant that is not is Al Michaels.
Yeah.
You just can't meet a nicer guy than Al Michaels. Joe Montana was on Pat McAfee yesterday. Did you see this?
No, but I want to look at it now.
They asked him to list his top 3 quarterbacks in order if he were starting a franchise. He went, the guy in Buffalo. Burrow's pretty good. The Chargers kid is a good player, and maybe the Eagles guy.
He didn't know their names?
He just said Burrow. That was it. So he went with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh.
That's Joe Montana. Come on.
I mean, Mahomes has already passed Joe Montana as far as playoff wins go.
Right.
That's 17-16.
That's probably why. Chiefs are a 3-point favorite on Friday night. You will want to hear what me and Mark have to say. On Friday night, what we have to say on the show on Friday when it comes to those lines. ESPN is desperate for stories. They've almost run out of stories. They ran a story today that I got suckered into. They do these computer simulators, and they're pretty cool. They simulate the season 10,000 times, and they say, this team's going to be really good. This will make the playoffs. This story said we ran the simulator, and the Chiefs and Eagles don't make the playoffs. It was simulation number 4,091 out of 10,000.
So just one random?
One of the 10,000 simulations. They did a story on and suckered me, and I feel so stupid. Your host, ladies and gentlemen, getting dumber every day. Mark, this is on you. You got to help me get smarter. Will you help me?
Okay.
I'm old, man. The Vince Show's coming up next on KCMO Talk Radio.